So this task is a simple line drawing techniques lesson, but it is also about rendering precisely. Rendering is effectively another word for colouring in, but it is colouring in using very specific line techniques and trying to get different patterns, different textures. We're going to look at the difference between hatching, cross hatching, stippling. Using wavy line, using different, as I say, line techniques to create the impression of a specific type of surface or material. Okay, so quite simple, this lesson. What we will need is 3 colouring pencils. I don't mind which 3 colours, but I would say go for 3 colours that obviously are vastly different to each other. I wouldn't go for a light blue, medium blue and dark blue. I would go for 3 different colours, but use what you have, okay? And quite simply, the first thing I want us to do is just complete these boxes. So you will see here it says short dashes. Make sure your pencil's nice and sharp, okay? And I just want you to fill your box up with short dashes like so, okay? I may speed through some of these, but obviously you guys are going to take more time. I don't need to complete every single one, okay? Then I'm going to use the same colouring pencil, and I'm going to do the same, for these 2. I'm going to use a different colouring pencil for these 2, different colouring pencil for these 2. Hatching. Now, hatching is drawing lines all in the same direction, okay, like so. If we can have nice, precise lines, trying to avoid hairy, scratchy lines. We want this to be nice and neat and precise. And it's probably a good idea to make sure that they are distanced quite equally apart. Okay, so finish with that one for now. I'm going to go on to do my cross hatching. Now, cross hatching is the same as hatching to begin with. And you probably already know, you've probably had a go at cross hatching perhaps in your art lessons, or I don't know, just for fun maybe. Cross hatching then is taking your lines and going in the opposite direction like so, okay? Stippling dots. Now I don't want people doing this because it's not accurate. It sounds horrible. Whoever you are near when you are doing that won't thank you for making horrible noises, so you don't actually need to do it. And plus, it's more accurate if you do this like this, nice and quietly. I always say I don't want a classroom full of woodpeckers when they're doing this task. Take your time. Okay, and you can see a texture. Obviously it's not the right colour, but if you were to look closely at an orange peel, you would see that it would have this type of texture. And that's what we are aiming for, to create the illusion that the shapes you are looking at are textured or, made of a specific type of material. So wavy lines next. So I say this is quite useful because it is almost like a wood pattern. So if you have a wooden desk or a wooden table, drawing wavy lines like so. Now these ones you can spread out. So those ones I said try and keep more or less together. These ones, if you want to do ones that are close together and then maybe ones that are a little bit further apart, that's fine. But hopefully you can see that creates almost like an illusion of a wood grain, okay? Green might not pick up as well on the camera. Okay, and then this one, it simply says scribbles. Now, this could be if you were to look really close to like wire wool, or if you know what a Brillo pad is, like the type of scratchy, wiry brush. If you were to look at it under a microscope, it would look like a collection of scribbles, okay? So it does say scribbles, but you can see I'm trying to be neat with it. After all, you do want this to be a presentable page. You want, you know, something that you're proud of and you'd show someone else. So that's the idea. Now you've got other ones here, okay? Now you can, you've noticed that they don't have any titles for these ones. I would say have a go at different techniques. So it could be, I don't know, I'm just making it up as I go along, but it could be lines that start to go in different directions like this. It could be, what else could we do? I'll do a different colour, I'm not going to do all of them. It could be you start dark and you then blend your pencil so it's going lighter and lighter before it's almost completely white. And you see how I was careful to not go over my lines there, because I can always go in and try and match these up. I don't really want to go out of my lines. If you do a little bit, that's fine. Okay, and I don't know how well that's picking up on the camera. But you get the idea. You could combine. So you could have, I don't know, you could have wavy lines. In fact, that is quite a good one when you talk about wood grain. With a stippling effect. You might want to, as I say, combine. You could look around your household and look at different surface areas or different household items. What are they made of? And do they have a pattern? I mean, look at this desk here. Obviously that would be similar to the stippling effect, but you can have all sorts of different surfaces around your home. So have a look and see what you can come up with your boxes. I'm not going to finish these off because we've pushed for time a little bit. It does say here, I've probably done it out of order actually, but it says here, connect the dots below with 3 straight lines, one very light, one mid-tone and one very dark. Now, I'm going to challenge you to do this without using a ruler and see how straight you can get your line, okay? Something like that. A tip is, if you're drawing straight lines, okay, try not to bend your wrist, try and as if you are controlling with your elbow. So you're not drawing with your elbow, of course you're gripping your pencil as you normally would, but you are locking your wrist and you are drawing by moving your elbow, okay? So now I'm going to do a medium line. I've gone too high there, so I'll have to correct. Like so. And then finally a dark line. Now the dark line, you may want to go over it twice because obviously colouring pencils just snapped. Okay, whilst I sharpen that, we'll go on to the next step. You get the idea. Light, medium, dark. Again, I don't know how well that is coming across on the camera, but regardless, you get the idea. So, now, using these shapes, I want you to see if you can input these drawing techniques onto these shapes. Now, think about, look, I'm going to start with this one, okay? I might not do all of them. Think about, you've got 3 surface areas. You've got the desk itself, you've got the backdrop, or it could be a wall, or it could be maybe, I don't know, type of wallpaper perhaps, I'm not sure, or maybe brick. And then you've got your item as well. So I'm going to say that this is almost like a shiny metallic item. So if that's the case, I'm just going to put this in lightly like this, I'm going to put this in lightly like this. Now, if you look at a metallic shiny item, such as a can of drink, you'll notice there are light and dark sections, okay? So you would imagine that the light, if the light is hitting it here, you can see this lighter section, okay? So we're going to try and replicate that. In fact, I might cheat a little bit because I've actually already done this, okay? So this is something I had to go up before. Now, as you can see, I've gone really heavily on the edge here, like so. And because the light is hitting the item at this angle, just like that can of Diet Coke, it's obviously going to be the lightest point, but it gets dark as it gets around the edges. You can really accentuate how dark it is at the edges here. You can see I'm making this really dark. What I don't like to see is, where should I do it? I'll do it here. I don't like to see it goes like this, then it goes like that, and then it goes like that. And what I don't want is where I can almost see a join. It should be a smooth transition. You want to blend this. If you want to practice, that's actually a good way to practice. Do little tornadoes where you start dark, like so. Maybe you could do it on the back of your page. And then you go lighter and lighter and lighter, like that, okay? And the top surface, I've done almost, just because I was experimenting, I did a crosshatch effect on the top. We could assume that's made perhaps of a different material. Okay, and then I've just done regular hatching on the backdrop here. Okay, I didn't want to do too much there because what I wanted to try and do is try and get a shadow effect. You can imagine if the light is hitting this surface area here, okay, if I've got an item here, the light's hitting it, the shadow will be behind. The shadow will be going this way if the light is hitting it this way. So you've got to try and have a thing. If you're unsure, get an item and flash, you know, if you've got a torch or a bedside lamp, put a light against it and see what happens with the shadow. Okay, and this would be a nice blend. Okay, it would blend. And you'd probably get a bit of shadow on this side as well, a little bit. Okay, so that's that. And I think the reason I did that, I said this is what I don't want to see. I don't want to see someone just colour in the cone, upside down cone, like so. That wouldn't be how it would go. It would probably, let's try and see if I can salvage this. I'm going to make that bit the darkest part. And then it would probably, as it goes along, perhaps get lighter. Let's say that there's a light source here and here. And it might take multiple goes. It might take multiple passes at this. And again, I'm trying to salvage. I did something deliberately wrong, and now I'm trying to salvage it to make it look as it should. So it's a bit tricky, but you can start, that's not a bad idea. You can start with the darkest section down the middle if you wanted to. And you can see I'm building my colour up. I'm going over again and again and again. Just be aware, when you do something really dark, if something's light, you can always add colour to make it darker. But once you've made it as dark as it can go, there's not really any coming back from that. You're stuck with it. And rubbers are generally not great at removing colouring pencils. Okay, they work well for graphite pencils, but not so good for colouring pencils. So just bear that in mind. So build up gradually like I am. Now I'm going to leave this almost completely white on this side, just so that, you know, you really can see that there's a light hitting it. what I'm going to do, just for texture, I'm going to use my hatching, but I'm going to do it across the top. Okay, so I'm going to just to kind of create an illusion of a, I'm going to leave a little gap there. In fact, what I might do is I might plan these lines in along the edge like so. Now, these are just shapes, but just imagine, okay, this is a red metallic upside down cone. And you've got that in your mind. And this could just be grooves or indentations on the shape itself. Okay, now, often you will get like almost like a shine. It looks like a shine's like that. You might want to do the same here. This may work, it may not. It's almost like a shining effect, okay? That's worked not badly actually, that's okay, you get the idea. Okay, and then I've used dashes, a combination of short and long dashes to try and create almost like a grain effect in the wood. And again, the shadow would be a bit all over the place. The shadow would be here, but also the shadow would probably be here. So that just means you put more dashes in. That's the easy way to solve that. Like so. And I've actually, I know I said use free pencils, but because when I've done this before, I've got a slightly different colour pencil. It actually has worked quite well to give it a bit more texture. So if you do have a light blue pencil and a dark blue, you can always just at the end go over it. Okay, I've got like a pink and a red. If you experiment putting a pink over the top, see how that, that might actually help you with blending. And then obviously the red, you want it the darkest it could possibly be at the very edge, like so. This probably would be a bit darker because the light is here. So I'm just going to create there we go, something like that. Okay, you get the idea, so use those. The final thing I would say, you've got 3 spherical shapes there. You want to make those look 3-dimensional. So there are a number of ways you can do it. Okay, I always say one nice way is you do an old-fashioned volleyball, or the old type of football. And one way you can do that is you can draw your shape in. You start with a shape like this in the middle. Try and aim, it can be just off center. Okay, and it's just a really quick way to make your shape look spherical. See how I'm tilting my piece of paper? That's absolutely fine. You wish to do that. Okay, so there you're going to get a 3D effect. So then maybe I'll blend that and go from light to dark. Because if you look at these, normally they're made of like a type of leather, and they would almost be shiny. So you can have an element like so. You'd have a light, similar to you have a light and a dark section. You definitely have that, and you might want to just make those bits darker. I'm not thinking about it too much, I'm just building up my colour. I find this actually quite relaxing. It's quite nice to experiment with colour in this way. And finally, I'm rushing a little bit now because I know the video's going on quite long. I probably would go over that a second time if I'm honest, because you really want to get the dark sections in. And again, if you look at these, you would have little dark sections where they connect. So look, they would probably be the darkest part, because you would have little tiny gaps in these old style footballs or volleyballs. So they would be the, as I say, the darkest area. Something like that. Again, I don't know how well that's coming out of the camera, but you get the idea. Other ways you can make something 3D. Well, you can make it, let's change my colour. You can always you can draw your lines in like so. And it's almost like a globe. Like something like this. I'm doing this quickly, but you get the idea. And then you build in your curves on this plane, this axis. Okay, and then you could obviously add one of these in. You could maybe add in some stippling effect, and you could have, again, lighter and darker. You imagine, if you're unsure, think of it where the light will be hitting. If you want to draw a little arrow to help you out, you can do. And then you think, okay, well, that's the lightest. This would be darkest. Here, this would be the darkest. And then as it's going around, this part would be the lightest. Okay, what's another one? You could do like a coin, I guess, if you wanted. What colour shall I use? I'm going to use a purple because I haven't used that before. Use a coin. You could get yourself a coin. Okay, if you really wanted to be fancy, you could draw in a picture of the queen or whatever it is, whatever coin you've got, and you could try and get a metallic shape. So I'm going to do this really quickly. I'm not going to draw the whole thing, but do the outline like so. Now, with most coins, they have an outline like this. They have like a dotted outline, and you'd normally have, obviously, text. I've got 2014 there. I'm going to do it upside down because that's how I'm looking at it. Okay. Probably easier to turn the page upside down, to be honest, but I'm just having a quick go. Not thinking about it too much. You have a dotted line like that, and then you could probably pick something like a £1 coin where it's a little bit thicker, or a £2 coin. You could have and try and create the effect in 3D. Now, again, you do have textured lines on the top there. I've done that really quickly, but you get the idea. Okay, and you would have darker and lighter sections, so that part is darker because the light is hitting it. It actually then goes lighter, so there's a dark section, it goes on really light like that. Another dark section over here. Imagine you've written your writing in first of all, and it goes light, so it's a bit like this. Okay. You might want to add some cross hatching. I've got hatching up there, haven't I? And you may, in this instance, you may just want to go over that part with a pencil. You don't have to do a coin. What other ways? You can just do a simple hatching on one side. You can do a circle. And you just hatch a certain section like this. I'm doing this really quickly. as you get to the middle, and then you go back over it again. So you've got really dark, really light, but you've started with cross hatching. Another thing to do is you can do dimpled texture on the front, with like a golf ball, or you probably have a lot of circular, spherical items around the home. So have a look. You find one, or a piece of fruit, an orange. See if you can replicate it, okay? Something like that. You notice, because the light is hitting here, it's almost white there. I've done that really quickly. That coin, I don't know how well you're seeing that, but it does have light and dark sections. Piece of metal, as it's shining. Bits that are almost white. And this is where it comes into this scribble effect here. The hair, the texture of the hair. Okay. I could do this all day, but I won't, because you guys have got to get on. But it's building up. Again, that would be something you would build up layers and layers and layers, okay? Something like that. And the text itself would be, protruding out. So there we go. That's my example. You guys have a go. And then what I would like us to do is the other drawings that we've done in past lessons. In the coming weeks, we are going to use these different colouring line techniques, and we're going to apply colour to some of the past drawings. So please keep your drawings together. If you have a folder and you can keep them all nicely all in one place, ready to go. See, I can't help myself. I can see that that doesn't look right, so I have to add more in. But so, right, I'll stop. Yes, keep your sheets all in one place, and we are going to be applying colour, different sort of textures, metallic, wood, different surfaces, different types of plastic. Okay, they all have their own unique effect to them. Okay, so if you have something, glass, we're going to do glass bottles at one stage, so you can see the effect it obviously gives, a very different effect to the Coca-Cola can we looked at earlier. Okay, you guys have a go, and I'll be interested to see your results. See you soon.